Hello everybody and welcome back to the Jeremy Apiary and Happy New Year. Well, this is a little bit of a recap of what I ended up needing to do to get some of these hives to survive the winter. Two of the hives, that would be Hive 2 and Hive 3 from the Layens Hives, really had swarmed late and there were some problems. So I took the divider board and put some screws on the bottom as a gap and put some screen around it in order to make a divider board for combining these two hives. Unfortunately, Hive 3, when it swarmed the last time, didn't even make a viable queen. Why so many late swarms in this fall, I don't know, but other people had the same problem, so we have to make do with it. Chickens, as ever, always helpful for this process. So I put the divider board in place after removing any extra frames I had in Hive 2, and then I began the process of transferring frames with bees on them from Hive 3 over to Hive 2. I tried to take the frames with the most honey on them and looked the most viable with the most bees on them first and put them closest to the divider. And the purpose of this divider board with the screen is so that the pheromones from the queen that is in Hive 2 will mingle with the worker bees from Hive 3 so that they can get accustomed to it over time without fighting. It took a few trips to get them all over there, and not all the bees of course came because some of them were out of the hive and they were swarming all around not knowing what to do with things, but I got a lot of them over there. What ended up happening, though, was there were a number of bees that were still left over in Hive 3 that did not come over with that initial batch. So what I did was put over empty frames, usually one or two at a time, leave it for a few hours, let the bees kind of cluster onto that frame, and then move that frame over. And I would just keep repeating that process. I did that a number of times throughout the day in order to get the most amount of bees as I could over there. I even left it go for a couple of days and did one frame per day for a couple of days in order to get the maximum amount that I could. And you can see over here on that other half of the hive, there were a number of bees and we did capture a lot of them. And they're fanning, actually trying to get some of the other bees over from that other hive over to here, and they're trying to fan pheromones right now. This is the day of the last transfer. You can see a number of bees are trying to get in on the wrong entrances. Those are robber bees that are trying to get for the little bit of resources that were on those hives I was using for transferring. And it wasn't just bees, there were also wasps that were doing the same thing. Because yellow jackets in the fall would be more than happy to get a nice little honey meal and try to get some resources in a hive that is in disarray. This was the day of the last transfer of taking any bees over, and then at that point I was kind of calling it as the best I could probably do. And after I let that sit for another day, I removed the divider board and did not see any kind of fighting with those bees that had combined together. Unfortunately, there were bees left over still at the end. I don't think it could be helped too much. I think some of them might have migrated over, but probably not much. And a few days later, after putting a whole bunch of extra frames after harvesting honey, this is what was inside of the hive. Of course, there are some dead bees at the bottom of the hive, but also you see wax cappings and lots of them. And that is from where the robbers were coming in and taking the resources to the other hives. Those wax cappings, of course, are very good, and so I collected all those and picked all the bees out so that I can later render it for beeswax, which will come up in a later video of putting together. Don't want to waste that. I ended up using Hive 3 as kind of a winter storage and also an area where they can clean up my frames after honey harvest, and that worked out pretty well. So we'll see how that hive does, and hopefully it makes the winter. Remember to like and subscribe. We'll see you next time.